The border of Cambodia. On the border of Cambodia in 1979, emotions were hard to handle. Once felt, I will always feel. From their deepness, from their depth of darkness, like the phoenix from the flames, they shone a crystal light on me. Liberty. As I laid my head to sleep, I heard a voice, I heard a plea. Alone I laid, alone I prayed. A few more hours it will be day, I will not feel so afraid. I tossed and turned without relief. My heart, alas, would not release, so I went in search of thee. Now down upon my knees, for in my arms the one in need, and down a long and winding path I walked with thee. Where was the lamp, God, to help me see the light of liberty? Let it shine in me. Always alone. In the middle of the night, when they've all gone home, with their plastic and their politics, the orphans are alone. It's okay for them in their big limousines to go back to their hotels, their plans and their dreams. So go back to the UN and go back to your homes. But don't forget an orphan is always alone. Dewdrops on my heart. Motherless, fatherless children hang like dewdrops on my heart. They fell into streams and rivers. Unaccompanied they travelled together. Some broke apart, lost forever, to hang like dewdrops on my heart. Fertility. In the aftermath of the killing fields, I sat alone in a Buddhist temple, far away from anything I had known before. The isolation of this place let me for the first time reflect on the horror I had witnessed. There was anger in my heart as I remembered the mass graves, their last moments. I gave them my word, my fertility, abide in me. For the children of mankind, I will break this evil spell. I will not shout or yell. I will hold a chime for my children and for all the children of mankind. I'll always remember you. I held a young man dying in my arms all through the night. He died in the morning before the sun was bright. I had held him for such a long time. My body ached for tears, and I'll always remember you, who was all of 13 years. You know, I didn't want to leave you. You know, I didn't want to see you go. But for the first time in all those hours, there was a peace, you know. But when they came to take you to the mass grave where you would lie, I had to turn my head away. I couldn't say goodbye. If life is like a tree, if life is like a tree, then the spirit is the earth. If good fruit can grow again, there can be rebirth. If we fill our heads with anger, if we fill our hearts with disbelief and greed, we will never know self-worth or everlasting peace. Let it be. By the light of the moon I saw him, He was laid on the ground like a tiger waiting. Quietly he laid low waiting. Was he waiting for me? The wind blew his body heat at me. In his ragged clothes of black, with his rice bag around him, he saw me. Khmer Rouge, guerrilla, jungle man, priest, let it be, and he passed on silently through me. Let me hold you close. Let me hold you close, innocent child. Let me hold you close to my chest, for we shall sit here for a moment, and for a moment we will rest. Your body is weak from hunger. Your strength comes from within you. Will you continue to walk on tomorrow for the freedom and rights you pursue? Let me give you a moment. Let me embrace you in your fight. And I hope for a brighter tomorrow. I pray, will you live through the night? Love is true. I want to take you back to a time of darkness. I want to help you through so you can see the light as I do, with all its hues and rays. Feed your spirit with understanding. Respect primitive, basic values. Love is true. In this ever-changing life cycle, the beauty and wisdom it holds will unfold for you. Love will stand the test of time. I can still remember the silence. It was hard to believe this was our last farewell. Tears filled my eyes with all that had been. You held your arms out to me. I held you in mine. Our faces will show. The words we speak, they will know. Love cannot be taken. Our love was not forsaken. Our love will stand the test of time. Mothers weep. Mothers weep a baby's grief. Fathers go to war. Were we conceived to believe the vein of guilt that spills upon the floor? Apprehend your fears, our judgment day is at the door. The light above. The sun which had shone today was now gone. Did another show its face, the moon? It had always been a symbol of lovers and dreams for me. Now look down in sadness. As the shadows fell, I searched for a light. In the darkness, I looked up to the heavens above. There, in the darkness, I found the glory of the universe. There, in the darkness, I found the light above me. The same tune. We all sing the same tune, filled with colours of different shades and hues. Is it because we love life? Are we afraid to lose? So choose, do not abuse, so we can begin again in God's promised land, my friend. The Khmer Rouge went back to the beginning. There was no one singing, only a death toll ringing. They lost their face, they became a disgrace. They had no money to buy their honey. Their children died, they lost their pride. They dressed in black, they all looked back. They found themselves on a carousel, bound for hell. Tell me, heart of mine, tell me, heart of mine, how closely I see you. For inside, outside, upside down is showing. Do teardrops part from once I last with you. Through all the centuries, what have they done? Are we just to be here for our men to have fun? We give them our beauty, our youth and our years. Why are we alone in our moment of tear? And what do they give us, these ones we call men? War, again and again. Peace forevermore. I've made a long distant call to heaven, telling the angels they need to come. I have flown on the wings of a white dove. I've looked down on them from above. I saw 4 men on horses. I saw a bell at the door. I held in my hands my heart beating. I was there to settle a score. They were all screaming and shouting. They were dead and dying. They couldn't look in a direction anymore. I heard the angels ring the bell. I was now in a living hell. I looked up to heaven to help me. My eyes shone so bright, right to the core. Lucifer, I shouted, rise up from where you've been hiding. I can't take this anymore. The angels are now singing, because hope is what they're bringing. The shooting stars have written in the sky. There's no time to lose, only to choose. Then I will have settled and more. The door is now wide open. The universe has spoken. It is the glory which is the story. Peace forevermore. Cambodia, a neutral country in the war of Southeast Asia. In 1970 and 1973, the United States Air Force dropped over 500,000 tons of bombs on food-growing areas, destroying the irrigation works and killing livestock. The capital city, Phnom Penh, increased from 2 million people to 6 million. As a result, a grave food crisis developed. The bombing had destroyed a country back to the Stone Age in its literal sense. April the 17th, 1975, the bombing stopped. Then out of the forests came the Khmer Rouge. Their power had grown out of all proportions to their numbers. They wore black and were mostly teenagers. They entered the capital city. The horror began immediately. The sick, the wounded, the disabled, the old were being dragged from their hospital beds and abandoned beside the road. The population of Cambodia was being marched at gunpoint into the countryside and towards a new society this world had never known. The new rulers of Cambodia called 1975 Year Zero, the dawn of an age. God was dead, and in which there would be no families, no sentiment, no expressions of love or grief, no medicines, no hospitals, no schools, no books, no learning, no holidays, no music, no song, no post, no money, only work and death. Cambodia was virtually sealed for 4 years. There were no news reports concerning more than 7 million people, of over whom 2 million are still missing, believed murdered. Equivalent to Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, London. I am a survivor of some of the darkest days of the 20th century. The War of Southeast Asia was the longest running war. It was to rid all white people, with their Western culture and influence from Southeast Asia. In the 1970s, most people had never seen a white woman. People would ask me if I had the same sky at night as them. If I was asked where I was from, I replied to planet Earth. I lived in no man's land, in dangerous conditions for long periods of time. It gave me a different stream of consciousness. Courage is a French word meaning from the heart. The ability to mentally think in a different dimension. I was able to function outside a box in dangerous situations when all around me was in chaos. I am guided by justice and the light of liberty, which gives me my faith to carry on.